Hello everyone, and welcome to my review of the upcoming RWBY patch for Paladins. I know I haven't done one of these in a while, but since this is our mid-season patch with a bunch of changes, I thought I would give it another go. Let's not waste any time and get right into it. To start, this is our first patch in quite some time to not have a new champion. In other games, this would be a negative, but considering how many recent champs feel rushed and have recycled abilities, oddly enough, I say it's a win. Like the name of the patch implies, we are getting our third crossover this year with the spotlight going to the RWBY series. I would like to state that I have not seen the show, but I have done a little bit of research for this vid. 4 of the RWBY skins will be in the crossover pass, while the other 2 are direct purchases / obtainable via loot boxes. So, our 4 skins in the crossover pass are Ruby Rose Vora, Blake Belladonna Sati, Weiss Schnee Furia, and Yang Xiaolong Imani. Don't let the pretty splash arts fool you though. These skins look... well, they don't look that great in-game. The Vora and Sati skins look fine, bonus points for the Sati skin having a unique decoy this time. But then you get to Furia here with these mega uwu eyes, which, I mean, the character does have big anime eyes, but in Paladins she looks like a baby doll. Normally, I'm not one to criticize skins in Paladins because I believe art is subjective. But this Imani skin is one of the worst skins I have seen in this game. First of all, the face. This character looks like she hasn't slept in a week and wants to die, which does not seem fitting for this high-energy anime girl. Second, the gauntlets on this skin. Why are they different sizes? The right arm is so tiny! Third, the textures on the gauntlets. My footage might not be the best, but in-game the gauntlets are very low quality. Fourth, because of the wonky gauntlets, it looks so disgusting if you try to use these with another skin. If you use these gauntlets with the default Imani skin, well, you get 2 skin tones on top of a noticeable hole in Imani's right arm because the gauntlet doesn't fit. And the 5th issue and biggest with this skin is if you wear the base model of the skin and try to wear a different gauntlet, there is a very noticeable gap between the weapon and the arms. Shame on the Paladins R team for releasing a skin this low quality and unfinished. I feel really bad for the Yang Xiaolong fans from RWBY. Now, apparently the 4 skins I just mentioned were pulled directly from Smite, and if you look at a side-by-side, yeah, that checks out. Again, shame on whoever was responsible for this decision. The 4 skins do not match the Paladins art style at all. Just compare these 4 skins with the skins from the Genlock crossover pass. Say what you will about Genlock, but at least the skins match the pre-established textures of the Paladins roster. You'll notice that the next 2 crossover skins are overall higher quality and match the Paladins aesthetic better, and that's because they weren't in Smite imported over to Paladins. Our 5th crossover skin is Crow Bronwyn Corvus. Now, even though the skin matches the Paladins aesthetic, it's still kinda weird. The knife on this skin is huge. Luckily, it's not that big in first person, but it's still off-putting for Corvus. Then we have the SMG, which has a cool design, but it looks like plastic. Also, apparently this dude doesn't even use a gun in the anime, which makes Corvus seem like an odd choice for him. Also, the voice work, especially on the ultimate, gives me a laughing fit every time I hear it.
Behold, the power of my semblance!
Oh, I can't. Luckily, all is not lost with this crossover, as we arrive at our 6th crossover skin, and in my opinion, the best one of the patch. That's Salem Ceres. The character fits very well for Ceres, the skin has cool effects, especially when using Restore Soul. The weapon is cool, and I think the skin has the best voice work for this patch. Speaking of voice work, we arrive at our last unique skin for this patch, and the only skin that's not related to RWBY in any way, and that's Stellar Witch Lilith. Following the Star Sister theme, the skin looks pretty good. The weapon is fun, it has good effects. I especially love the skybox for the Blood Moon. It's giving me Sims 3 vibes. But you don't even get to see this as the Lilith player. You only see it if you're her ally or enemy, which is a shame because all that's left of this skin is the voice. And I really don't like to criticize voice work, but this skin sounds so damn annoying.
Bye-bye! 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 So a flat-chested girl with no hips!
In conclusion, an okay skin, an annoying voice pack, and the best part of the skin is something you don't even get to see as the Lilith player. So that sucks. One last skin for this patch, the Prime Gaming reward is going to be Defragged Inara, which is a recolor of her Battle Bite skin. I said this originally when Bounty Store exclusives were announced, but I love seeing old skins get a new light shined on them. Speaking of, why wasn't this a Bounty Store exclusive skin? What happened to those? Moving on from the skins, we got the rework to my least favorite map in the Onslaught rotation, Trade District. The map's aesthetic was updated to better match the recent Stone Keep update. Overall, I really like the new buildings. The map seems to be a bustling business space unlike the old one. The shops feel unique, and the map as a whole feels alive. Maybe too much so. This might just be me, but the lighting seems a bit busy in this map. Maybe that's something I'll get used to as I play, but I am a bit worried that it'll be hard to tell what's going on while playing here. Despite looking better visually, I am disappointed by this map rework. In the past, I've called this map Choke Point City because there are so many choke points. Forcing 5 people through a tiny choke with little cover is not fun. I was seriously hoping that some of the chokes would have been made more spacious or some additional flanking routes would have been added. But nope, the map is exactly the same structurally. Well, I mean, you could jump onto the barrel by the first point now, so the team on this side has even more of an advantage, I guess? Overall, I do like the new map, and I look forward to being able to play it. I just wish it was made a little more player-friendly. Next, we get to some long-promised changes. Custom game expansions. Now, when making a custom game, you can play around with a few settings to make your game even more unique. Right now, these settings include disabling health regen, lowering cooldowns on ultimates and abilities, disabling the item store, increasing or decreasing move speed, buffing in-hand damage, changing starting credits, and changing jump height and gravity. Pretty much most of the features we've been seeing from the LTMs. I love this, and I think this is a great start towards making customs more interesting. A few options I would like to see added in the future is the ability to make uneven teams, have team-specific buffs or debuffs, modifiers to the passive credit gain, and maybe even settings to change point progress or the payload's move speed. Continuing on, we have updates to the free champion roster. For damage, Cassie is out and Tiberius is in. For tanks, Ruckus is out, Ash and Khan are in, and for supports, Genos is out but Furia is in. I know not many people care about this, but I do think the starting roster greatly affects the new player experience. In my opinion, the tank options are great now. Ruckus was a horrible choice for newbies. As for damage, I feel that Cassie was a better pick due to her simple kit. The same applies for the supports. I think Genos is easier to understand than Furia. Finally, we get to the part that I actually care about, and the longest section here, that's balance. The nightmare of balancing concerning Haven and Veteran continues. Haven is getting its cost up from 300 to 350 a level, but its scaling values are being reverted back to 6% per level, up from the current 5.5%. Veteran is following suit with the price increase, going from 200 credits to 300 credits, and the scaling is going from 5% a level to 5.5% a level. Recently, I've joined the Anti-Haven Veteran Club. I might make another video going more in depth on this topic, but for now just know that I stand by the fact that the devs made a big mistake in merging Haven and Blast Shields a few patches ago. This change has led to wonky balancing regarding the new Haven and Veteran, which still continues to this day. Despite getting a cost increase, these items are both stronger, which means that time to kill is going even further up, which ultimately cripples flankers and bolsters the double support meta that we're currently in. Hashtag bring back Blast Shields. Continuing on with questionable item store changes, Guardian is getting its scaling buffed from 7% a level to 8% a level. Yay, such a fun item. We love Aegis Fernando. Illuminate is getting its cost upped from 150 to 175 credits. Doesn't matter because you're still invalidating stealth-based champs with a cheap item purchase. Last of the item store changes is actually a good one. Provision is gone, now being replaced with lethality, which increases your movement speed by 20, 40, 60% for 2.5 seconds after getting an elimination. The new item is way more fun than the old garbage. I was worried that this item would be overpowered and encourage snowballing, but it definitely seems to be a lower priority item when compared to others like Haven and Veteran. Still, I can't wait to try this out on Train Terminus. Ceres mains, beware. I'm coming for you. At last, we arrive at Champion Balance. Now, maybe this is related to both Haven and Veteran getting buffed, maybe it's not, but 14 champions are getting their damage buffed in some form this patch. Another sweeping change is that most on-kill cards have been converted to on-elimination cards for better consistency. Let's begin with the winner of this patch, Androxus. The current Cursed Revolver is going in the base kit. The damage is being lowered from 600 a bullet to 550 a bullet to compensate. The Cursed Revolver talent is being changed to accompany this rework. Now, hits with the revolver apply a bleed over time effect, dealing damage over 2 seconds. Just a preface, I hate fighting this champion, but I think these changes were necessary. Cursed Revolver is always picked because the current semi-auto weapon is so horrible. In our recent Paladins weapon tier list, we rated it as one of the worst weapons in the game. The spread sucks, the range sucks, everything about that weapon sucks. Androxus needed Cursed Revolver just to be playable. What worries me is that there are quite a few players who dominate lobbies with the current Cursed Revolver. Now, picture those players with another talent. Scary stuff. On top of the weapon changes, Andro is getting 2 card changes. The first is to Spiteful. The current card grants you 6% ult charge after killing an enemy with Defiance. The new Spiteful grants 1% ult charge after hitting an enemy with Defiance. Then we have the Vengeance card. The old one would heal you for 225 after killing with Defiance, the new one heals you for 30 for simply hitting with Defiance. Watch out for those punch-happy Andros next patch. They're going to be getting their ult quick and have access to better self-healing. Next up is Betty La Bomba with buffs and nerfs. The grenade launcher is getting its direct damage up from 600 to 650. The indirect damage is going up from 510 to 560, and the reload time on the weapon is being decreased by 10%. I've recently added Betty to my roster of mains. I really enjoy her playstyle. That being said, her weapon did feel a bit lacking. The damage going up doesn't change many breakpoints, but it's still nice to have. The reload being sped up is a blessing. Thank you. To balance that out, Hail of Bombs is getting some nerfs. The damage per bomb is going down from 390 to 370, while the knockback per explosion is going down by 25%. Fair nerfs. The ability is still excellent at cutting off an area or an objective. To accompany his queen, Bomb King is next. The sticky bombs is getting their mid-air inaccuracy removed. Good. Mid-air inaccuracy is stupid on characters who have vertical mobility. 2 card changes for BK. Shock and Awe. The old one increased your move speed by 10% for 4 seconds after getting a kill with Detonate. The new one increases your move speed by 3% after hitting at least one enemy with Detonate. I'm not sure if the speed boost stacks if you hit multiple enemies. If it does, then this is a super strong card. Second card change is for Uncontrolled. The old card reduced your cooldowns by 10% after a kill. The new one cuts cooldowns by 8% after an elim. More consistent, but slightly less payout. Following the trend, Buck gets a change to the Stomping Ground card. The old one cut your cooldowns by 15% after a kill, new one cuts your cooldowns by 12% after an elim. Same deal as BK, more consistent and slightly less payout. I will say, I fought a good Buck on the PTS and this card was so damn annoying. Buck is a character who becomes super frustrating to fight with constant cooldown resets. Look out for him next patch. Finally, we have the long-requested rework for Cassie's Megaton card. The old card added a knockback effect to Blast Shot, which was broken in the sense that you would be knocked back in random directions, as well as resilience not working against it. Now the card simply increases the AoE of Blast Shot by 5% a level. Great simple change that should have been made ages ago. Better late than never. Next we get to Corvus with a bunch of card changes. Initially, I was very excited for these, but reading into them, I quickly got disappointed. Basically, Corvus is getting nerfs to his team utility cards, while getting buffs to his selfish solo cards. Let's start with the big ones, and by big I mean nerfs. Grant Design and Crushing Expectations. The cards that grant lifesteal and move speed for marked allies are both being nerfed, with their scaling going from 3% a level to 2.5% a level. Furthering the trend of hurting Corvus' team utility, Abyssal Affliction is also getting nerfed. The damage reduction you give an ally is going down from 5% to 4%. Apparently stacking Chronos and spamming heal on someone makes the DR stack, so in some instances you can give an ally 20% damage reduction. I just never see this utilized in game, so this nerf confuses me. The last nerf is to the new Resolve card. This card gives a 50 HP shield to an ally when you mark them. Now the shield is going to be 40 HP. Now let's cover the buffed cards for Corvus. Abyssal Shift. The card that gives you DR while projection is out, has its scaling up from 5% to 6%. More DR, that's nice, especially when your projection bugs out and doesn't go where you need it to. By My Will, the card that increases your ammo is getting its scaling up from 3 to 4 ammo per level. More ammo, cool. Capped out, you will have 70 bullets in the Officer's Pistol. Kind of unnecessary since the base ammo of 50 is fine in most cases. Condemnation. The dumb card that increases your healing when below 60% HP is getting buffed. The bonus healing is being upped from 2% a level to 5% a level, while the health threshold for the card to activate is getting bumped up from 60% to 70%. Having a healing card that only functions when you're below a health threshold is beyond stupid. I'm shocked that this card wasn't reworked. Ominous Relic, the card that gives you ammo after you heal. The scaling is going from 2 to 3. Again, nice to have more ammo, but that's usually not a problem for Corvus. Shadow Tribunal, the card that gives more healing to marked allies is getting its scaling upped from 2% to 2.5% a level. Funny, they only buff for a card that's semi-used. The Price of Salvation. This card heals Corvus after he heals an ally. The healing is getting a slight nudge, going from 75 a level to 80 a level. Capped out, Corvus will heal 400 health over a second. Not too shabby, the only card buff worth talking about. Maybe this will force some loadout diversity. Last up for Corvus is Unexpected Complications. This card grants you ammo after using projection. The ammo buff is going from 8 to 10. Keep in mind on this card the time limit is scalable, not the ammo count. Again, another nice ammo card that's kinda unnecessary. I guess the idea behind these changes is to force loadout diversity for Corvus by hurting his best options. But this philosophy is flawed, since very few of his other cards offer team utility. In my opinion, if a champion needs a certain card or talent to be playable, then that should be put in their base kit. See Androxus for an example. 9 out of 10 Corvus decks have either Grand Design or Crushing Expectations, or both in there. I really think those two cards should be put in the base kit. Why would any logical support player pick any of the newly buffed ammo cards instead of bolstering their team's survivability with extra lifesteal and move speed? Let's also not talk about the fact that Corvus is kinda unplayable without the Spreading Influence talent. Okay, next is Dredge. Mid-air inaccuracy is being booted from the Cursed Howitzer as well as the Harpoon. Additionally, the Kraken ultimate is having its wind-up time lowered from 1.7 seconds to 1.45 seconds. Great changes here, especially to the ultimate. Ever since they gutted the damage many patches ago, the ult has felt so lacking. 1.45 seconds is still enough time for many champs to escape, but don't be surprised if you catch people off guard with this next patch. Drogo's Thrill of the Hunt card. Old one cut the cooldown of thrust by 15% after a kill, new one cuts the cooldown by 13% after an Elim, but for consistency with a very small loss. More Elim-based card changes coming up for Eevee. Avalanche. The old one increased your move speed by 10% a level for 5 seconds after a kill. New one increases move speed by 8% a level for 4 seconds after an Elim. The 40% speed boost is still great for 4 seconds. Impact. Old one cut cooldowns by 10% after a kill, new one cuts cooldowns by 8% after an Elim. And Killing Frost. Old one cut the cooldown of Soar by 20% after a kill, new one cuts the cooldown by 13% after an Elim. In regards to the on-kill cards being converted to on-Elims, Eevee is the one champ I've been seeing talked about a lot. With the old cards, you could run Impact at a 4 and run Killing Frost at a 3 to guarantee a full Soar cooldown reset on kill. Now, you have to run both of these cards capped out to achieve the same result, which ultimately hurts loadout diversity. Eevee is a champion who needs to min-max everything. Standing out in the open for even a split second is certain death. I can see why Eevee mains would be upset about these changes. Next is Fernandork with some long-requested changes. First up, the Last Stand card. The old card would heal for 100 health a second, while below 40% health and having your shield active. The new card heals you for 90 health a second, while below 35% health. Poor card had to be nerfed because of Aegis probably. That sucks. But to counter that out, Incinerate. The card that reduces the cooldown on Fireball has its scaling up a bit, going from 0.4 to 0.45 seconds per level. Capped out, you will reduce the cooldown of Fireball by 2.25 seconds, putting the cooldown at 4.75 seconds. To bolster the Fireball playstyle, the Hot Pursuit card, which boosts your move speed after hitting a Fireball, is getting its internal cooldown removed. After how many years, Flank Nando is finally back. I really like these changes. I want to see more playstyle variety for Nando because fighting an Aegis bot is so boring. Now we got Furia with some buffs. Kindle Soul is getting its targeting cone reduced. Praise Genos, it's so annoying to heal someone you weren't even looking at. On top of that, we got a surprise change to the Solar Blessing talent as well. The healing per second has been reverted, going from 2,000 healing per second back to 3,000 healing per second. There is also an added 0.3 second delay in which you cannot reactivate the ability, and a minimum duration that the Pyre Strike is active. I still believe that Solar Blessing is being super slept on. You have the highest healing per second in the game, and you gain access to cutting off chokes or using the beam as a weaker exterminate. The talent probably won't gain any popularity from this, but I'm really happy with these changes. Grok's Spirit's Domain talent is getting its healing upped from 750 healing a second to 800 healing a second. Maybe eventually they'll fully revert this back to its 900 per second glory days. Whatever, we take what we can get. On to Grover, who can see his own healing circle now. But besides that, he has some super wonky changes. The first is to Blossom. The burst heal is being lowered from 800 to 650, but now the ability heals an extra 300 health over 2.5 seconds. Over the course of the ability, you will heal 950 health, up from 800. Burst healing is always going to be stronger than healing over time, so I consider this a light nerf. The Crippling Throw is getting its damage upped from 400 to 425 for reasons. The Throwing Axe is getting its midair inaccuracy removed. Good. And then we get to the really weird part. 2 of Grover's talents are being reworked. Deep Roots is up first. The old one would change Crippling Throw to root the first enemy it hit, and then it would bounce and slow 2 additional targets in range. The new one keeps the chain hit feature, but now, hitting an enemy causes a healing aura to manifest around them, healing allies for 150 health every half a second for 2.5 seconds. I'm unsure if the bounce hits will cripple enemies or not. Actually, I don't know anything about this talent, since it wasn't present in the PTS. It sounds like a weird concept, but I still think this is going to be Grover's most picked talent. At least the old Deep Roots is gone. Thank Genos, that was so annoying to fight. The next talent rework is to Rampant Blooming. The old talent would grant allies an additional heal over time after using Blossom. Since that's in the base kit now, the new Rampant Blooming is as follows. Heal for a burst of 500, and an additional 300 over 2 seconds at your location after you vine. On the PTS, the talent did not function properly because the burst heal of 500 was not present. Still, this new talent sounds kinda meh. Sure, it offers more self-sustain to a retreating Grover, but to get max value from this, you would have to be actively vining to teammates, which ultimately puts you in harm's way. I don't see this being played much. Inara! Stone Spear doesn't have mid-air inaccuracy anymore. Finally, flying Inara might be viable. Definitely gonna try that next patch. Up next, we got Genos with some buffs. We'd love to see it. The Star Splitter is getting its damage upped from 108 a bullet to 115 a bullet. Very nice. I have been saying that Genos needed some love towards his weapon. I was kinda hoping that the spread or the damage fall-off would have been addressed to give him better ranged capabilities, but beggars can't be choosers. But that's not all for Genos. His ultimate through time and space is getting its damage upped from 2,400 to 2,650. In my eyes, this change feels like a band-aid fix to address Genos' ult not killing anyone in the Haven veteran meta. Spoiler alert, but the ultimate still won't kill anyone with Haven and veteran next patch. Won't get into this one too much because I want to talk about it again in my Haven veteran discussion. Continuing on, we have the cringe lord herself, Kinessa, with a slew of nerfs. The Carbine Rifle is getting its damage lowered from 180 a bullet to 170 a bullet. This one kind of feels like overkill once we talk about her other changes. The Carbine Rifle actually has really good DPS, but it never feels satisfying to use, due to the spread and low ammo count of the weapon. Next, the Sniper Rifle. The time to fully charge a shot is going up from 1 second to 1.2 seconds, and Kinessa loses accuracy in the air after jumping. The addition of midair and accuracy is a questionable one, but increase in the charge time I'm in favor of. Good Kinessas are a nightmare, and this time difference puts Kinessa closer to Strix in terms of fire rate. The Transporter is getting a small buff to compensate. The time before you teleport is going down from a 1.1 second delay to a 0.95 second delay. Fair change. Though, some are gonna hate this, I bet. The Depressor mines are getting nerfed. Mines will no longer target mounted enemies. Praise Genos, that's so annoying in Siege. And the projectile speed of the mines was reduced by 20%. Last change to the base kit, Headhunter now has a small 0.25 second pre-fire. I didn't see this in the PTS, but I'm assuming it's to allow enemies a chance to react. The community is going to be dancing in the streets with this one. Oppression, the talent that lets Nessa throw out 2 mines at once with a 6-second lifetime, is getting nerfed. Now, picking the talent increases the cooldown of mines by 2 seconds. I, like many others, do not like playing against this talent. But I gotta say, I'm really disappointed in where this talent ended up. Why would you ever pick this now? You're lowering the uptime of your mines, and you're increasing their cooldown. If you want to have a mine playstyle, you could easily do so through a loadout, and without this talent. Maybe it's the inner Symmetra main in me, but I wish this talent could have been fun, but fair. Wrapping up Nessa with 2 card nerfs. Generator, which cuts the cooldown on mines, is going from 1.5 seconds to 1.2 seconds a level. And Power Supply, which resets the cooldown on Transporter, is getting its health threshold lowered from 12% a level to 8% a level. Next is Koga with a lame new card, Galestorm. The old card would grant you 15% energy after killing an enemy with Skewer. The new card gives you 3% energy for hitting an enemy with Skewer. Capped out, you get 15% energy. That's not even a full bar. Definitely not worth using this one. Another flank is up, Lex. Enemies marked by Retribution now have a UI element that shows they've been marked. This is a huge nerf for Lex, as it essentially removes his surprise factor. I'm shocked he didn't get any compensation buffs for this one. The Auto-Aim Woman is going to be doing it a lot more now with a partial revert to the Inheritance card. The old card cut your cooldowns by 10% after a kill, new one cuts your cooldowns by 8% after an elim. And with Leon tagging everyone with her auto-aim, she's going to be proccing this a lot. This card originally was 10% cooldown reductions after an elim. It had to be nerfed to on kill due to how potent it was with an Eminence reset build. Now that's going to be back. Great. Up next we got our newest champion, Lilith. The Heart of Crimson primary fire is getting its knockback decreased by 55%, and the Blood Hex is getting its range upped from 85 to 95 units. That's it. No fixes to her overall clunkiness, or buffs to her useless Murderous Intent talent. Another support, Maldamba. The cooldown reduction when you miss Mending Spirits is being upped from 1.75 seconds to 2 seconds. I thought the original value was fine, but whatever. I know this happened last patch, but I think the cooldown reduction when you miss the ability was a great change, and fits in with what I mentioned earlier about necessary cards going into a champion's base kit. Now we got our homegirl Octavia with a ton of nerfs. The Distortion Field is having its radius lowered from 25 units to 20 units, while its duration is going down from 4 to 3.5 seconds. If we had a fix to seeing enemy health bars through the Distortion Field, I would be fine with this, but we don't, so I'm not. Then we have the Marksman Rifle. Sculpt in damage is going down from 450 a shot to 435 a shot, but the effective range is going up from 125 units to 150 units. Additionally, the minimum damage at max range is going up from 50 to 55%. So, with these changes, Octavia's DPS is going to sit at 1,450. Still the highest in the damage class. Good players won't have to worry. To compensate for these nerfs, we get a nice quality of life buff to the Commander's Leap. Now you can use the jump button to stop midair, instead of having to scope in. Pip's Mega Potion is getting buffed, with the healing bonus going from 115% to 130%. Now you will be healing allies for 2,300. This talent is really good in the right hands, and it's nice to see it buffed. Still, I think that Pip's base potion should go back to healing for 1,200, and likewise put Mega Potion back to a 100% bonus like it used to be. Anyways, nice buff, but Healbot Combat Medic is still going to be picked over this. Speaking of the Combat Medic talent, They re-added the self knockback when you shoot yourself. Apparently this is used for pip wall jumps, so that's cool. Watch out for those heavy walls. Continuing the trend of healing, we come to Raum with my favorite change this patch. The useless Subservience talent is finally being reworked. The old Subservience would heal allies 100 health for each soul harvested in a stupidly small radius. You had to be breathing down your Raum's neck to get that healing. Now, Subservience heals all your living allies for 2% of their max health with each soul harvested, regardless of range. I love this talent rework, and I had a lot of fun playing with it on the PTS. This is the first instance of percent-based healing in the game since the old Grok. Ideally, Raum will be harvesting a soul once every 0.25 seconds, so in the best scenarios, you are healing your team 8% of their health a second. On 2200 HP allies, this will be 176 healing a second. Just a bit shy of Genos' old numbers on Astromark. Even though that healing is low, keep in mind that you could heal your allies anywhere as long as you're collecting souls, and this healing will be usually on top of your actual support's healing capabilities. Additionally, using the Soul Harvest ability grants you 10 souls, so you can use that to burst heal your allies for 20% of their health. It was so cool to see Raum coming clutch with the heals on the PTS. My only issue with this talent is the same that I had with the old one. That being that this is a selfless talent. You, as the Raum player, gain no benefit. I really would like to see a small buff for the Raum player when using this. Maybe healing a little bit more off of each soul, or reducing the cooldown of Soul Harvest a little bit, since there's no way to do that with loadout cards. Despite my tiny grievance, I really like this new talent, and I believe Raum is a champion who now has 3 viable talents. Good on ya, Balance Team, for this one. Next up is Ray. First, a quality of life buff for the Restraint talent. With the talent, Spirit Link will now prioritize enemies over allies. I do think the base Spirit Link needs some looking into because picking your target is super wonky, but at least it will be slightly less frustrating with the Restraint talent. Additionally, the Refreshing Break card is getting a nerf. This is the card that grants ult charge to allies healed by Chain Heal. The scaling is going down from 0.2% to 0.17% a level. Fair nerf, I guess. I feel like Ray has fallen off hard since her ultimate nerf, and I was kind of expecting a compensation for that. Sha Lin is finally getting a nerf to the busted Sand Trap talent. Now, the cooldown of Impaler Arrow is increased by 1 second when using the talent. That's a slap on the wrist. I really think the talent should just remove the cripple from Impaler Arrow. This talent gives Sha Lin the highest non-boosted projectile damage in the game at 1300. As if that high damage isn't harsh enough, you get punished with a 1-second cripple. That's more than enough time for a Sha to pop his spam arrows and take you out. You can do this every 6 seconds in the coming patch instead of every 5 seconds. Wow. Finally getting some needed attention, it's Skye. First, the wrist crossbow is getting its effective range upped from 45 units to 55 units. While this sounds small, I gotta say the weapon felt much better on the PTS. Skye felt better to play at mid-range, which is what you want to be doing anyways since Illuminate is an item that invalidates your whole playstyle. Second, the Preparation talent is gone! The old talent would reset all of your cooldowns and heal you for 500 on a killing blow. The new Preparation gives you 75% damage reduction, and 20% move speed during Hidden, but reduces the uptime of Hidden to just 2 seconds, and that can't be increased. Even though I listed Preparation as one of the worst talents in my recent top 10 worst talents video, I know this talent had a following, so I'm sorry for the old Preparation users. But let's talk about the new one. The 20% move speed in Hidden should be in the base kit. That shouldn't be restricted to a talent or investing in loadout cards. Additionally, the 2-second duration on Hidden sucked horribly. Normally, Hidden is the skill you use to engage and disengage, while the Smoke Bomb is meant to keep you concealed mid-fight. Now it feels like you have to use your Smoke Bomb to get in, which ultimately alerts the enemy of your presence, and then you have to use Hidden mid-fight for the DR, and then you're left with no escape. I say this like Illuminate isn't a thing, but still, the new talent felt awkward to use, especially with Hidden's insanely long 15-second cooldown. I would also like to say that this is another patch without a revert to Smoke and Dagger. Finally getting a bit of love after a slew of nerfs is Strix, whose base health is going up from 2000 to 2150. Still lower than the standard 2-2, but this will free up some loadout points that would have otherwise been put into HP. Now we arrive at the first set of definitively questionable changes. That's to Tiberius. More specifically, to his bladed chakrams. The damage on these things is going up from 650 to 675 on direct hits, and indirect hits are going up from 500 to 525. Why though? Tony already has good damage, and this is just going to make the combat trance even more of an I win button. Are these damage changes due to the Haven veteran buffs, or is it because Tiberius is the new free champion and we want to make new players feel good? I'm not sure, but this still sucks. On top of that questionable change, the projectile speed of the heavy blade is going up by a whopping 6%. And the cooldown on Crouching Tigron is going down from 14 seconds to 12 seconds. Fair changes there, just why the damage buff? Torvald's recharge is now affected by Guardian. I did not test this in the PTS, so I'm not sure what this entails. Is this faster recharge, or does the recharge grant you more shields? We'll find out soon enough. To compensate for her talent nerfs, Tyra is getting a slight revert to her auto rifle's damage, with it going from 105 a bullet to 115 a bullet. Fair change. Also, I gotta say, thank Genos they nerfed Burn Monster a few patches ago by removing the cripple. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh yeah, Trailblazer now gets ammo on a limb instead of kill. Wow, like this card is ever used in the first place. Vatu is up next with a small nerf. The DR provided by Dash is going down from 60% to 50%. Fair change. However, continuing on with more questionable changes, 7! Automatic Fire is having its damage upped from 200 to 210 a bullet. This on top of increased maximum and effective range. The burst mode follows suit with its damage going from 150 to 165 a bullet. Like other stance swapping champions, I feel like they failed with 7. Based on the description of his fire modes, you would want to use the burst mode at long range, the auto fire at mid range, and the mag dump at close range. Instead, players end up picking one fire mode and never swapping. The burst and auto modes feel similar enough damage-wise, and now even more so with the auto fire getting its range increased. I would also like to say that a lot of people vocally hate this champion, and here he is getting damage buffs. Even more reason to hate this champion, the explosive dodge can now be used in the air akin to a Lex Slide. The bomb spawned from the ability will now only spawn if you're close to the ground. Additionally, the bombs now have 300 HP and can be destroyed. What most people hate about 7 is this ability. While the bombs being destructible is a good change, this overall doesn't fix the frustration with the ability. Most 7 players lay down the bombs with the spring-loaded talent, and then hook you into them before you can react. I think better nerfs towards the bombs would be to add a small arm time to them, to allow enemies to react, as well as nerfing the increased AoE that the spring-loaded talent provides. Decree 77 will now properly target enemies after 0.35 seconds, and the overcharge talent will now activate after 0.8 seconds instead of 1 second. I still think that the base ultimate is better, even more so with the fix. Last up, the Fear card. Now gives cooldown reductions after an elim in burst mode, not a kill. Even more questionable changes, Victor's assault rifle is getting its damage upped from 135 a bullet to 140 a bullet. Now Victor will be dealing 1400 DPS. Is this another product of the Haven veteran meta? Who knows. Either way, this is insane. The burst mode talent is also getting a damage increase, going from 200 a bullet to 210 a bullet. Now one burst will net you 630 damage, up from 600. More damage buffs, this time to Vivian. Damage on the LMG is getting a partial revert, going up from 160 a bullet to 165 a bullet. The effective range on the gun is also going up from 90 to 95 units. Despite me harping on damage characters not needing more damage, this is one of the few damage buffs I'm happy about. Vivian fell off hard after all her nerfs. In my opinion, the biggest nerf was to her damage. In my Vivian rework concept, I suggested putting the damage at 165 a bullet, so I'm happy to see that here. Next up is Vora with another nerf. Deadly Sice projectile size is going down by 10%. I don't know why they're nerfing this so much, especially when the projectile is super slow. Not a heavy nerf, but still. Last of the big changes is to Yagarath, who seems to be a balanced nightmare for the devs. The cooldown on Form Swap is going down from 5 to 4 seconds. Caustic Spray is getting its damage upped from 360 DPS to 380 DPS. Additionally, the Corrosive Acid talent is getting reverted. It will now buff your damage to 420 DPS, up from 400 DPS. Devour's health pool is going up from 3,500 to 3,750. The time after the ult breaks is being reduced from 2.5 to 2 seconds. The time before pulling an enemy was lowered from 1.1 seconds to 0.9 seconds, and the minimum distance for the ult was lowered from 50 to 45 units. I don't play much Yaggorath, but the ultimate distance nerf killed her for a lot of people. So, it's nice to see a bunch of reworks to compensate. I really think that the devs need to go back to the drawing board on this champion. She is a hot mess balance-wise. Ying's Life Exchange now reduces the cooldown of Shatter by 3 seconds if you miss. Yay, boring buff for a boring talent. Ying main sword chipped. Last up, finally, Xin with 2 card changes. Fan the Flames. The old card would reduce the cooldown of Billow by 20% after a kill. New one reduces the cooldown by 14% after an Elim. Similar to the Eevee Soar card, you can no longer get a full cooldown refund after a kill. And Heartless. The old one buffed your move speed by 10% after a kill, new one is 6% after an Elim. I feel mixed on these changes as a whole. I do like the on-kill cards being changed to on a limb, and I like that a few champions no longer have mid-air inaccuracy. But some changes, specifically the buffs to Haven and Veteran, on top of the buffs to damage, have me worried for the next patch. One thing I really dislike recently about Paladins Balance is that our feedback is being ignored. I feel like I'm back in Overwatch, where the devs will propose a crummy change, and then still put it in despite negative player feedback. Just look at the recent Kinessa Oppressor talent for proof. Everyone and their brother was complaining about this talent, and that it shouldn't go to live. What do you know, it went to live, and people still hate it. The PTS doesn't feel like a server to test changes. It just feels like a preview for changes that will inevitably go into the live game, despite player feedback. To wrap this video up, I want to say that the Amani Hot Hands bug is finally fixed. Still nothing on her bugged Inferno Cannon move speed. Yes, I will talk about this every patch until it's fixed. And that's my thoughts on the upcoming RWBY patch. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. Don't forget to clap that like button and lace down that sub button. Satching the bell is also a great way to keep in the loop. As always, I'm YellowNinja, and long live Healer Raum.
Did you say depress our minds?
I did.
Oh.
I wrote that in.
Oh, poor Kinessa.